What's going on, good people? It is the Bad Wolf, your man of knowledge, mystery, esoteric, and more. Don't forget to join me on my other YouTube channel, which is Badwolf Unrestricted. We are almost at 5,000. The goal is to see if we can get that channel because a lot of y'all just like entertainment. Y'all want to be entertained, so I'll be talking about all the stuff out there in the world. Everything. We're going to talk about books, languages, dating, um, maybe even some politics, whatever. Nearly nothing is off the table, except for the stuff I already agreed to not share because of confidentiality reasons. Got it. But anyway, everything else, that, yes, let's get into it. So this particular video is about, so I was watching TikTok and, yeah, I know. And there's a guy in there. This guy, he goes by Sov Sit Buster. He's trying to prove, that you're wrong on anything. And don't get me wrong, there are some people who are wrong. But in the one particular video, all right, and I've heard other people try to say this in some of my videos or in their little videos and their cute little platforms and whatever else. You're misapplying the code. Let's back up before we get to that. Okay. If the person has done everything right by law, then what they're doing is lawful. If they have not done everything right and they're operating in the legal public jurisdiction, it is then illegal. And that could be like when I first started doing my right to travel and I didn't switch the name of the owner of the vehicle from my legal name to a private, unregistered name, an entity. Though I won that court case, it wasn't right by law. I still won. I proved that I was right, but I messed up a step. Now, if the prosecutor was as smart as me, he would have pointed that out. But he wasn't. And he didn't. And it's closed now. So, but had I been going up against me, I would have pointed that out. Now, overall, is there more evidence to suggest that what I was doing was still yet enough for it to be dismissed under generally nolo, meaning we're gonna say you're guilty, but we can't do anything to you? Yeah. So I'm getting a Amazon delivery. Make sure he's the real one because I've been hearing that there's fake ones that come around now with trucks and badges and vests and everything and stealing packages. So if they walk up to your house with no package and they leave with one, or they ask to come inside and have you sign something, you're about to get got. You're about to get ditified. Don't do it. Don't go in the van either. Real Amazon employees aren't supposed to be going in the house unless it's a special delivery. Usually it's by a third party company, and they should not have you in the van unless you're like that one girl who's getting her little panties rocked off in the back of the van, and somebody caught it on camera. And even then, you're not supposed to be in the back of the van. Okay. All right. So if you haven't done all of the steps necessary, that's why some of these people like Solve Sit Buster guy, all right. And I'm not saying he's completely wrong on all of his videos. I'm sure I think I've seen him do like one of mine or something like that. So I know he doesn't like me. Bitch, you ain't gotta like me. That doesn't mean I'm wrong because you feel some type of way. You don't even know the law. But let's get to why some of them, not against the ones who are wrong and should be prosecuted, and unless they did everything right and then they know how to fight in court. So there are some things that can fall on those different levels. But so if they haven't done everything right, even like myself, I went to court, but I proved that I had more right than wrong, so they no-load that shit. They're like, we're gonna dismiss it, but We're gonna still call you guilty because we don't like your bitch ass, Mr. Wolf. That's fine. Cool, whatever. I don't care. Ooh, demons don't like me. No, no. So, if a devil says you're an asshole, what does that really make you? So, but if somebody has done wrong or they're using it for illegal, nefarious, criminal purposes, absolutely, absolutely, they should be prosecuted. And I'm not going to necessarily call them the soft C word, but they're 14th Amendment U.S. citizens who didn't do things right. Now it's up to the court and you to prove that you were more right than wrong, like I did, and you're good. Now I'm good. Now they don't bother me. I have everything done right. That's how it's supposed to be. But understand, like the last time that they did, they were in the wrong because they were just like, oh, we see a different looking plate. I'm going to bother this guy. That is not the fuck how the law works. They do not have jurisdiction over the private. They can be in the outside area, the public. They do not have the law to operate as judge, jury, and executioner on the side of the roads. Nobody does. This is a violation of the Separation of Powers Act. They can only do public administration, and then they have to have what's known as RAS, reasonable articulate suspicion that you've committed a crime. They did not state any of that. They broke the law. You can, and the maximum of the law is that you cannot break the law to uphold the law. You can't kick in my door, find, I don't know, some gummies or something, and then be like, oh, see, look, I found gummies. Yeah, but you broke the law. You were supposed to uphold the law. You broke the law to then try to uphold the law. Now, in your vehicle, if through the window they can see drugs and other things laying out, that gives them probable cause, meaning you probably did something. I 100% know that's weed. I've got RAS. That they can do. Not with your house. And really, with your car, the only it's supposed to be in the act thereof. Like they pulled you over, they smell it, they see it. That's probable cause. Smelling it is not probable cause, but they try to use that one too. That's a violation of your rights because it could be incense. Hell, I got incense that smells, says cannabis smelling incense on there, but it ain't cannabis. You don't get high for nothing in there. It's house smelling like some skunk booty. I bought a whole like it was like $8 for like 5,000 incense. I don't know. I've always liked to smell them ever since my uncle and his Filipino wife who ran off with his son, matching my story, should have known. Used to do drugs and all kind of other things. As a kid, I would always smell incense burning, so I just still like it. It's just me. So it's sorry. I think that's what either made me brilliant or crazy or a little bit of both. So it is what it is. All right. So let's get to why Mr. Hobnob, Soft Sit Buster, is not completely wrong or people like him. When the judge in one of his videos said, Sir, Mr. Blah, 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 you are misapplying the code. We have to understand and break down what's really going on here. Okay. So I don't know. I didn't watch the whole video because it's not my business, not my circus, not my monkeys. But so I can't say the guy was right or wrong. I'd have to look at every detail, what he was doing. It may not even have been about right to travel. I don't know. I didn't watch the video that long. But cherry picking soft sit guy here um, took a clip, put up a piece of it without putting the full details on there. So he's just basically cherry picking information, and that is very dangerous. He's not doing a thorough review of all the information. That's what gets me about some of these people is that they just go, well, look, a judge said he's wrong. So you're telling me you thoroughly believe, which belief is not fact. Emotions are not fact. That all judges have 100% success with all of their cases. They're all 100% right. Not possible in human history and not according to the numbers. So you cannot just say because a judge ruled a certain way that he's right. This is the scary part about the law. Judges can cherry pick also what they want to entertain, and then unless you appeal it to a tribunal of three judges to review it, you could have been incarcerated, lost your wife, lost your whatever, all that stuff. There's far too much power in that. Now, mind you, the judge then is supposed to, if he's a real judge, he's then supposed to basically have it signed off and sealed, um, reviewed, and then it gets filed. Especially, generally, especially if it's a magistrate. Okay, but till you figure out what's going on, you have to deal with all this mess, and there's no government agency that swoops down and just helps you. This is how dangerous and scary their power is. There is no intermediary agency that can put the government in its place or swoop down and eagle the shit out of these courts and judges without a long financial process. They make you afraid to do anything whatsoever. You could be at home and they'll still come and bother you. I've had it happen to me. So, government, because I know you guys watch my videos too, Department of State, etc., there needs to be an oversight commission. But guess what? Neither one of them want to do anything like that because they're all doing dirty shit here and there. And they don't want everybody in it. So the only people who can try to force them is the people. And guess what? The people ain't finna get together and rise up and create, demand, force with our own money that they're using to govern us to create an oversight committee for all those things. We should know where all of the money is going. We should look at every court case, listen to the person. Somebody like me should be able to sit there, listen to them, look at the information, like, no, I'm going to overrule the judge. No, you're not. No, it's not. That's not. No. And some people would argue, well, that's what the appeals department is. Yeah, but then you have to file an appeal. Meanwhile, you're on a bracelet. You're locked up at home. You can't go anywhere. You can't use your vehicle. You can't make food for your you can't go and get food for your kids, you can't get to work, you can't work to pay your child support. So and you're destroyed. All for what then? Hopefully for the department level to find you innocent and then the damage has already been done. They've already besmirched your name. So now you have to try to go back and sue them over all of that. Do you know how draining on all levels that is? I'm dealing with a client right now going through that. We're midway through all of that. I've had tons of other clients. I've gotten through that. Some of them I was like, no, your problem's way too big for my desk. It's way too much going on. It's above my pay grade. I'd have to charge you a whole lot more, and I don't really want to get into all that. So I do turn people away. So when this person and the judge was like, you're misapplying the code. Okay, so let's take a look at one of the state's codes on which is 341.40 on non-resident registration. So let's say they're now I don't know the other guy's full scenario, but this is how Jonah the judge was like, well, sir, you're misapplying 341.40 of the state of blah blah blah's transportation code. Now he's then not letting the guy get a word in. He's trying to railroad or kangaroo court him. And this is why, because one, he hasn't watched my videos to know how to deal with this before, so that that can't even be a thing. He's there in court and he's trying to get his stuff out. He's just handing his stuff over here. That can work. My method is way more successful. But okay, so we're saying he came in behind the eight ball. He's there court day. He's using the non-resident code to say he's operating as a right to travel and blah blah blah, which they don't like to hear about, right? Okay. Now, once again, on jamesclovett.com, I think even right now it's free or it's $1 for the video I did on right to travel. So go over there and check that out before the prices go back up because it's a full video on how to deal with your right to travel cases. Some of the videos are going to be free from time to time, and then I'm going to raise the prices back up. Is what it is. Knowledge is power, and if you want the right power to deal with it, you got to pay or learn it yourself or whatever. So the judge is running over him. He's not getting any words in. And the Sov guy's like, see, well, you're not letting the guy talk. The judge is really not supposed to be the one judging, but let me say this carefully. The judge is supposed to judge between the defendant and the prosecution. He's not supposed to be going after the defendant and saying, you're misapplying that. That is the prosecutor's job. I would go after that judge for being biased. You're not supposed to come after me to tell me I'm misapplying the code, because here's why. The prosecutor is supposed to convince the judge that, not the judge tell you you're doing it wrong. He should also be respecting the judge. It's the judge's layer, after all. Ship, maritime jurisdiction. Admiralty, too. The judge is supposed to say, okay, you believe he's misapplying it, Mr. Defendant guy. What is your say-so on this code? Because the law maxim states that if you have an interpretation of the code, if you have an interpretation of the law, the statute, you are not only entitled to be heard, but generally that is, I won't say it's a fact, but it's your fact that can be heard. And if you can convince the judge otherwise, he can ignore that the prosecutor is saying, who's the only one who should be saying, you're misapplying the code. But let's look at that code. So 341.40, non-resident registration. Okay. I'm just using one of the states. Doesn't really matter. Same thing. And it says non-resident registration. So the problem is, and this is all theoretical because like I said, I don't know what the guy was really arguing in that case. But it's overstanding that non-resident. So for me, it would be breaking down, Your Honor. May I communicate my response to, I assume is not yours because I'd be showing bias, and then you'd have to remove yourself or recuse yourself. But the prosecution's, attack that I'm misapplying it. So underneath that code, it speaks of non-resident registration. What does that mean legally? I'll tell you what it means. Non-resident, meaning you're not a resident of this state. You have not proven or decided to be a member of this state's public, employment, membership, etc. Right? Right or wrong? Because that's what it says in your code on the state website. Your job, Your Honor, is not to write the code. Yours is to interpret and then judge. The legislation writes it. The executive handles it. The judge weighs the evidence. You're only supposed to be there to be convinced, not denying somebody the right to speak and then ruling against them. The prosecution is supposed to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are applying the codes wrong. How can he do that? If the code he's using says non-resident registration, the judge should say, so what does it mean to you? He could say that. I should tell him. Meaning, while I was in the capacity of being a private citizen under the Constitution in my private conveyance, that vehicle is registered, and this is where I messed up mine years ago. I still won my case, but this is where I messed up. My vehicle is registered to a entity that, Your Honor, can you find this entity? Can the prosecution find this entity's name within the state's database as a registered voter or business? Go ahead. I'll wait. Well, no, Your Honor, we can't move forward unless we prove this detail. This detail is paramount to the case. Now, he may ignore you, and then you're going to have to appeal it, and then it'll be overturned, and then you have to file a complaint against that judge. If the judge, if you prove it to the judge and it's on the record, and they hate it when you say and ask and demand, request, you should request or ask, not demand. You can demand. It's a little ballsy. Might set the wrong tone. That it's on the record because now it's held to the letter of the law. And if the judge is like, no, no, that's not what it means, or this or that, you can go after him for each violation he did. And because he knew the truth and hid it, now his state immunity is gone. That's what I'm saying. There's so many people. I'm not even saying I know all of it. I'm not even saying I'm the best. I'm just damn good. So many people want to say they feel some type of way about something, and they ain't sat their own asses in a courtroom fighting for their life like I have. Been there, done that. I told you the sheet. Oh, you guys, this is another video. Well, another video I showed like 23 odd legal bouts I had, showing you that I have put my feet in the water, so to speak. I've been all in there up to the nose, maybe even under. But even that list didn't show all of them. There was 2 pages. I only showed the 1 page. Like I said, I don't have to show everything or whatever. I don't owe anybody anything. But I still yet wanted to show people like, yeah, this is real. I've been fighting. You guys need to fight too. Or can fight. Should fight. Don't have to. It's up to you. Some people aren't built for that. Some people didn't know they were built for that and then got thrown into the den of well, I was gonna say wolves. We'll say den of feral um what do you call them? Razorbacks. I was gonna say pigs, but pigs can be dealt with when you're a wolf. It's the razorback. So I got thrown to a pack of razorback hogs, sovereign ass police, sovereign ass judges that the government can't see, but we get abused on a daily basis. You know how much it would change if the government issued just if there was a position where somebody like me or whoever else could apply for it and then just sit in a courtroom and overrule the judge on the spot. And that we could then find the judge and imprison him or put him in jail or whatever. Do you know how many people would then get a fair shake in these non-fair, non-American, U.S., foreign to the United States of America, lower court, Nisi Prius ass dungeons that exist in maritime admiralty jurisdiction, primarily? They would be on their best behavior, and we ain't got that in place. So the solve guy, for the most part, can suck a D, but he's not completely wrong. And I at least can give somebody like that construed to be my enemy. I'm not his. Um, I can at least, as a man, admit he's not completely wrong. There are people who fuck jazzed it up, and but not all the judges have been right, and some of them could have ruled better. But it is what it is. It's messy. That's why the judge is supposed to be impartial, which he's not for many reasons. So you that guy messed up by not having the definition of non-resident and non-resident registration from their site, and if they don't have it, quote it from Black Law or another place. And you have to get them to admit. So the terminology, so if this was me, I'd be like, well, Your Honor, does the term non-resident mean you, is it the same as U.S. citizen, legally speaking? Uh, I'm not asking for a legal opinion. I'm just saying, from your knowledge, I mean, you guys, you're here to interpret the code. So if somebody comes in and says I'm a non-resident, I mean, does that mean that they're a U.S. citizen in that moment? If that's how they're identifying themselves? Well, no. Okay. So non-resident, according to Black Law's dictionary and the state of blah blah blah, actually means foreign, private, not registered, not registered to the state, not property of the state, not a member of the state, not doing direct business with the state. Correct? That would be correct. I mean, for the most part. Well, Your Honor, well then why is it when I go to the bank they say I must prove residency? So it's something to prove. It's something to declare in order to get something, right? To get a benefit or a privilege, right? So if you're not asking for the privilege or a benefit and you're living in private capacity, like Your Honor, when you are at home, are you in public capacity or are you legally in private capacity, which is equivalent to that of a non-resident in that moment in time? Or can I order you around because you're a judge and you're a public trustee? Gotcha, bitch. Okay, now that we've established that, Your Honor, because I know you're playing stupid. You've been in court long enough, and before this, you were a magistrate, or you are a magistrate, or you were an attorney, or whatever it was before getting here, correct? So you've seen this. You're familiar with the term. And if not, are you incompetent, Your Honor? Because I'm not clothed in public office, which means I'm a non-resident. Okay, now that we've established that, so then non-resident registration would mean the same as foreign registration. Your Honor, does this court, having had the person committed no crime, and the police officer who pulled him over had no RAS, reasonable articulate suspicion of a crime, which is a violation of the law for him to do it, does this court operate in ultra vires outside of its jurisdiction and power, along with the cop, which is collusion, and under RICO, have the ability to say that a non-resident and a non-resident registration is under your jurisdiction to adjudicate when there's been no crime and I'm not a member of yours? Now, if the prosecution was smart, and this is what the prosecution could have done to me or should have done, I would have. Wasn't smart enough. They walked away from it. They didn't like the smoke I already had on the table. He would have been like, well, and this is in my case years ago. I already won it. Mr. Lovett, as I pull your DMV record, is it not fact? This is your name, your signature, and still to this date, currently showing you as the legal owner of this particular vehicle. That would have been my response. Yes. Prosecution would have been like, oh, I rest my case. He's in fact a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, and his vehicle at the time of the occurrence, yeah, the officer probably should, well, technically, because of this fact, he did have the right to pull him over as that, and that would have been accurate. Except for I had already closed my driver's license and everything else was already done. I didn't have a license. You can't give a ticket to somebody who doesn't have a license what has been returned and closed. So that was one of the pieces that I used to win. But had I not been smart enough and he would have thrown that at me, absolutely I would have lost. And if I wouldn't have known anything more than what I do now and other things that I did do to still yet win, I should have lost. Truth be told, because that was a fact. And that's what they go by. Their computers are Almighty God. Now, there's some other things I could have thrown at them to possibly win, but it probably would have had to have been appealed. But they didn't come back after me. It was dismissed without prejudice, I believe, if I remember correctly. And I've gotten the judge to do that multiple times. So, actually, hold on. Let me see. Is it with prejudice or without? I think it's with prejudice that you want. Let me just double check. with prejudice. Yeah, so mine was dismissed with prejudice. If it's without prejudice, it means that they can come back to you at some other date. In which case, knock on wood, um, any of my other stuff that was dismissed without prejudice, because they don't rule the same way. You get different judges who, whatever else. Sometimes they play games, but no, they haven't come back for any of those things, which I'm more than ready for now. At those times, I was just, I ain't gonna lie, I was scared, I was nervous, but I was thankful to have gotten through. And then when the judge was like, "Mr. Lovett, I've never seen anybody beat my prosecutor," and then asked me to join him, I knew I was on the right path. I was only getting smarter at this law shit, dog. I'm the new law dog. So the guy, so once again, I have to look at somebody's complete story, which is why I do certain court cases. But if the person didn't do everything right, then the sob guy is right. But there is no such thing. There's no, the term sovereign citizen has no legal or lawful standing. It's never been adjudicated and codified, made a fact in court. So he's calling himself an oxymoron. He's calling himself a big little shrimp, but he goes after these people. But the problem is that if these people don't have everything right, it's not that they're soft sits because there's no such actual lawful or legal term under by code anywhere within our system. They're 14th Amendment U.S. citizens who are trying to operate outside of the law, which is the private. And that's what they prosecute them on. That's all that they can. They can only prosecute you on something that they own and can control. So you got to be in the public and you got to be a willing member of theirs. Now you can do things and be like, "Oh, I'm not a willing member." They'll say, "Well, don't you have a driver's license?" Yeah. Then you're a fucking willing member. I've already read that court case opinion. I know a lot of things that these average gurus out here who talk, 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 they don't know. They keep wondering why is he so successful at this? Why, la 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 la. Because I'm in there. I haven't been in there in years now, physically. But look, at the end of the day, even those people who don't like me, that's cool. As long as you're not hurting your clients, ripping your clients off, you want to talk about me, cool. If you want that part of me in your mouth, hey, that's fine. Put me all on your YouTube channel. Then your people just hear my name, they come over to check it out, and then they leave your platform and come over by me, or they follow both, whatever. I'm a grown ass man. No, no, I'm not gonna fight you or argue. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Um, so that particular guy is not completely wrong if they haven't done everything right and they're not doing it under evil, malicious, criminal purposes. But he's wrong in calling them a C word because there's no such word in law. It hasn't been codified. And they can't be prosecuted underneath that term. What they're prosecuted underneath is their legal name as a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen who's trying to operate outside of the, in this case, the lower court's fractional infractions of a full crime code. He was found guilty within the public membership. Now, like I said, I don't know what that guy did, but in my case, where the one time they did find me guilty, normal guilty, not nolo, I sent my paperwork to the appropriate party to review it. And I said, you need to look over this again, what your people did before I file a lawsuit. And I would love to sue the courthouse and anybody associated for 1% of their gross income, which doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot when you find out how much they're making. And then that judge overturned the other judge's decision to find me guilty. And that was with my right to travel case. And then all my charges were dismissed and financial alleged tickets, once again, were dismissed, discharged, gone. when you know what you're doing. But they want you to interact with them on a certain way. But they also don't want you to be making them look foolish in the courtroom because of like what the other guy did. They don't want you to ruin their financial day. If you know how to move the way I do, that's what they want. They want to be contacted the right way. They want it at the right time or times. They want to be respected. And that's generally, if you get a piece of shit magistrate or judge or whatever, who prosecutor, whatever, then they're going to try to dick you around because they do this for a living and they learn tricks from each other in the craft. We're really on our own, Americans. So you need to start learning, getting into, maybe forming your own little groups, petitioning your senators, your aldermen, the government directly. Start an online petition, mail in your stuff to the government. This is what we want. Make it a thing if that's what you want. Otherwise, it's always going to be us as individual baby wolves in some cases against feral, fat, lazy, stingy, greedy, evil, manipulative, conning, deceptive, razorback, warthog ass judges, magistrates, lawyers, attorneys, police, sheriffs, and whatever else. Sovereign razorback public officials. It's a business. They don't care about you, so it's not about caring about you. Upholding the law, most of what they're doing is not the law. It's not the supreme law of the United States of America. It's the U.S. corporate law, which is for a membership, which is recognized in its family, but it's not the real law. If we live in a house and it's grandma and grandpa's house, they built the house, it's their house, right? And you and me live there, and we're like, we'll say young adults. We don't have direct parents, but we've got people who we regard as parents because they've been there to help us do things, but they're not our biological parents. That's what's going on in the United States of America. America would be the grandparents, old, tired, they're managing, they're keeping things going. And then you've got these people who we don't know who are willing to essay us or do this, do that, but they take care of us, but they're using us. Like what was it? What was that fairy tale movie? Was it Cinderella? Where like her stepmom or whatever wasn't really her real mom. It's basically like that. Like these people aren't your real parents to be able to tell you anything to do. But if you regard them as that and you abide by them, you work with them, you want stuff from them, then they have a certain level of control over you. That would be the state and the police. They're not your real parents. They're not the ultimate law. The government the government has created through the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution, the real law. And those adjudicated federal court and Supreme Court cases, that's the real law. America's jurisprudence, the real law. Everything else is inferior and subservient, but it's still a matter to be regarded when you're operating as a member of theirs. And that's what police are doing. Police have no idea they've heard of the Constitution, they know it's a thing, but they don't know about constitutional law. There are no true constitutional police officers around. There isn't. So how could they possibly know? So from their perspective, that's like you saying, well, I've got a big ass wolf over this hill. Touch me again, and I'm gonna say, and he's gonna rip your face off. And the cop's like, where your wolf at though? And we're like, wolf, hey. And the government's like, what? Well, if you're gonna do that, make it official. File this paperwork and bring the cop and all of them here, and then have everything right. Don't mess up anything, or we're going to reject it 1,000 times. And then, if you're completely right with all of that, and there's no real normal way that you would be, or could be, or should be, without paying somebody a whole lot of money, we're just going to keep denying you. And so you're wrong. So, yeah, that's what they do. That's what it is. And it's horrible. It's a horrible existence. But nobody in the government is being commissioned. So, on behalf of the American people, as a state citizen and national, saying, hey, Department of State, government, all of you guys that watch it, I implore and petition, authorize, grant, request you guys to create a division to help we the people out because you're not. We're being taken advantage of by these lower state courts. But guess what? They won't do it because they'll say, well, thanks for the authorization, Mr. Lovett. We'll just go ahead and put that in the computer. Oh, but there's not enough Americans that are requesting the same thing you do, and it's going to cost money and time and all other stuff. So we just don't think that that's viable. You know, we don't really have a budget for that. We have a process in place. It seems to work. American people aren't complaining. This is them in a dark hallway when it's just alley and it's just me and them. Hello, hello, American people. Does anybody want this? Does anybody want what the Bad Wolf is talking about? Hold on, let me just. Any Americans over here? No, no, over here. No, nobody. We don't care. How about no? I'm just telling you guys where it's broken from my perspective. Do what you guys want to do, move how you want to move, take the fruit if you want, plant the seed if you need. That's all I got, folks. That's all, folks. Don't forget to hit that bell, like, subscribe. Welcome to the tribe. The truth will not be denied. Join me on my other YouTube channel, Badwolf Unrestricted. Thank you for those people who are over there and enjoying. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your life. Be your best. Do your best. That's all anybody can ever expect out of you. Just strive to be better every day. That's the key point. Never be complacent in your life, with your loves, your family, your money. Can't stop, won't stop. Keep going. I believe in you.